Hello, welcome back to another fabulous channel. I'm Jacob, Books Corner, and today I wanted to talk about Hellbent by leigh bardugo. I'm going to do this as non-spoilery as possible. This is the sequel to the beautiful book that is Ninth House. I just did a reread. I read them back to back. This was a 5-star. Hellbent was also a 5-star. I'd like to mention it's a completely different vibe to the book. It's more darker. It's more bloodier. At this point, I would honestly say that Alex probably should not walk and or move and or function the amount of time she has been injured, concussed, or broke a rib. But it's still a great time. The magic is more explored in a much more deeper and confrontable way. I don't know how best way to explain that. There's a lot of questions that are brought up in the first book that don't get answers, and I think the answers that we do get, or the semblance of an answer in this book, are perfect, if not a little. Like, here's the thing. I think if you're in it, you should be in it and just go with the world. Just go with the continuity. Because I do think there's like a few things that are introduced in this book that are really intriguing and really interesting, especially towards the later half. Super interesting. I just don't know, like, if you would tell me that this book had that in it as well, I don't know if it would make sense. Especially reading them back to back. I read them really, really fast. They go within like 3 days. So maybe that's the reason why. Maybe I need to reread them, digest them a little bit more, which is totally possible, and I'm like interested in obviously doing that. I never give sequels a 5-star rating. It's very rare. I have a very small list of books that are like sequels in a trilogy. I would even break, these ones down into sequels in a trilogy, type of thing. It's very rare for me to give a sequel a trilogy, like a 5-star. I'm actually planning on doing a video where I talk about all the sequels I gave in a 5-star, like book 2 in a series type of thing. I always find book 1 and book 3 in a trilogy, they normally can probably get a 5-star. Book 1, for me to continue on that trilogy, has to get at least like a 3.5 to a 4, and has to end on a intriguing end. But for both the first book and the second book to get a 5, there's so much writing on this third book whenever it does come out, whenever she graces us with it. I'm so excited for it, though. It's definitely just inked her up to make one of my most anticipated reads of like whatever year. The rumor is next year. I highly doubt it, though. I'm feeling 2025 in my personal opinion, but we'll see how long she's been working on it. Anyway, back to Hellbent, back to the grounding of the discussion here, right? Hellbent takes place right after the events. We're jumping between 2 timelines again. We're jumping a little bit further in the present, and we're jumping back to like when the book actually ends, and then when they're actually doing the actions. I will have to say that the book itself did not really get moving until the 50% mark, and I read the last 50% in a sitting. It was so good. It was so mesmerizing. Once again, if you're in it, you have to be in it. You have to just accept that leigh bardugo is going to take you on one wild fucking ride and just be okay with that. You also have to love the characters of Alex and her best friend Mercy, the cop, and they also bring in another character in the mix and stuff because they have to have several different people who've done some bad things. And Dodd. You have to literally love these characters to really go on this journey with them, because if you're not connecting with the characters, it's basically a fail safe. You're gonna think the book's bad probably. A lot of the reviews I've seen that are like more on the lower side of the ratings, I'm not saying like 1-star reviews, I'm thinking like more like 3.5, maybe like a 2.75-star reviews, are because they didn't really vibe with the characters, or they believed like certain characters didn't show their true potential like they could have with the first book. I know a lot of people have some issues with Darlington in particular. Once we get to certain aspects of his character in this book, it's a little more deeply explored. I know some people took really, really big offense. The things leigh bardugo decides to cover, the topics and the viewings, I should say. There's a whole section of the book that takes place where we're going through a lot of people's past, and they all experience some type of trauma in some type of way, very graphically. And just like Ninth House, leigh bardugo is not afraid to go there, and she believes that you need to see it to believe it. And I think in a way it does make it work really, really well and very interestingly, but also one could say that it goes too far. I think there's points in this book where I do believe it goes too far. Just like I did believe in Ninth House, I thought it went too far. But I think when you let the reins go of an author that's been stuck in YA for so long, and I would declare at least the 5 books that I read from her in YA, because I didn't read the Nikolai duology, but the other 5 books that are part of the Grishaverse, they're dark, they have darker meanings and stuff, but they are traditionally YA. I would declare those books young adult novels. There are some other authors, i.e. Sarah J. Maas. I don't know if I'd declare that or not, but them I would definitely declare, at least those. These are like full on, and I understand that feeling of just being able to just let loose and tell the story you want to tell without any restrictions. And I do think she does that. There's a particular moment that's going to stick in my mind for a long time. It has to do with imagery and a penis. You'll know it. And that's why I said a penis, because like you definitely need to know that word. That is so like, what the fuck? It's amazing. It's amazing, but it's haunting. And I think that's the best way to describe the book. It's haunting. Also, the rabbit. What a great choice for the cover. And I do like how she's tying in the covers, because snakes are such a big part of the first book and they're such a big part of this book. And there's a lot of questions. A lot of, I would say the end of the last book, there's like a lot of like, what? Why that happened? Like, oh shit, why did that happen? And I would say the reasonings that are here are very interesting and I think make a lot of sense towards those regards. It's just a newer lore that she puts on here. And the very interesting things of why the book is called Hellbent that I think make the book a little more jump the shark. In a good way, though. I don't think it ever went too overlying for me, and I've not looked into reviews to see how other people feel about it either, but it goes a much more, like, fantastical route than I was expecting. They always have Phantasm, obviously, in them. That's the root of them, the urban fantasy. But these ones, oh, they went places. And honestly, there's not a lot of books that go to this place, and I was really excited about it. I got a 5. Let me know if you read Hellbent. Please try to do it in a non-spoilery fashion, but if you have any spoilers you want to talk about with me, just mark your comment at such for anybody who is just coming across this video as a non-spoiler review. They can look at it. You guys have personally told me in the past you guys much prefer a non-spoiler review than a spoiler review, which is the only reason why I didn't vlog my experience while reading this, because of the fact that there just wasn't a point, because it's a sequel and it's basically you can only talk about spoilers in a vlog when doing it. I've seen other people walk around it, but I didn't want to spoil anything like Ninth House either for you guys, in case you guys want to jump in, because it's so good. They're both just so good. So yeah, I'm gonna leave you with that note, and I recommend both if you've not read Ninth House. I also recommend a reread. It was a phenomenal reread, and if you're interested in Hellbent, give it a whirl. I thought it was phenomenal in my personal opinion, and I'll talk to you guys all very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.